Hi, this is Matt Chambers from Concept 3D. Today I'd like to show you how to hack the output from the Google SketchUp Web Exporter. I'd also like to let you know these videos are available in high definition. If you're watching this on YouTube or on the Concept 3D blog, to the lower right of the screen you should see a Watch in HD link. Let's get started. At the 3D Warehouse, you may have seen this option, 3D View. Clicking on that will allow you to orbit around the models by clicking and dragging with the mouse. It's a pretty cool effect, but the ability to create that illusion has actually been available for a while. On SketchUp's website, if you click on Downloads, then click on Plugins, scroll down, and look for this plugin, the Google SketchUp Web Exporter. Now you'll notice that it's only available for Windows, but that's okay because we're just dealing with the output file, not the exporter itself. If you're on a Mac, I'll put a sample file for you up at tinyurl.com/swivelcode. Here is an example of some tweaked web exporter output. If you've used this plugin, you'll know it's not designed to create things like this. But doing it is actually quite easy, only by editing a few lines of code and creating your own images. After the plugin has been installed, it can be accessed from the Tools menu option. I'll just use the default settings, but it's worth noting the pixel size, that's height and width, as well as the snapshot number. That's going to result in 36 total images. As this exporter is running, the code is being written and the images are being saved. When the export is complete, you'll have two link options. We'll look at the folder in a moment, but this other link is very important. It shows you how to use this output file using iframe tags and HTML. Let's take a look at the files that were created from the plugin. In the output folder, you'll see a zipped package. That contains the model itself. We don't need that. You'll see all of your images, and you'll see an HTML file. If you open that HTML file in a browser, this is what you'll see. Let's take a look at that file in a text editor. What you'll see here is a combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You don't need to understand these languages to do this tweak. But notice at line 55, you can see the names of your images, model image 0.jpg, all the way from 0 to 35. This naming convention is important to note for the next step. You can really use any images you want, but I have a SketchUp model where I'll export an image sequence. I have 5 scenes here that give me 4 different transitions. These transitions combined will make a full 360-degree turn. From my animation settings, I'm going to change the transition time to 1 second and put the scene delay to 0. This just makes the math on the next step a little bit easier. From the File menu, I'll select Export, Animation. By default, SketchUp will want to export to an AVI, but you can also export to an image sequence or a series of stills. I'll select JPEG image files. I'll change the name to Swivel, but before I hit Export, I'll go to the options. Let's take a look at these numbers. Notice my height and width is 800 by 600. The images exported from the plugin are 400 by 400. We'll deal with that later. Also notice the frame rate. At 30 frames per second, that would give me 120 frames or images because I have 4 transitions, each taking 1 second. That is, as long as I don't loop to the starting scene, which I don't want. I'm going to set my custom frame rate to be 9. because 9 times 4 is 36. Now I believe on the Mac you can't set a custom frame rate, but as long as you set something close, you'll be good. Click OK. I'll go to the same folder where my original images were exported and hit Export. In my export folder, I now have that sequence of images in addition to the originally exported material. Notice the naming convention. On the original images, it's model image, followed by number, followed by the extension. On my new files, it's the name I gave it, swivel, followed by 4 digits, then the extension. In the HTML file, I can now do a simple find and replace to get this text file to point to the correct images. I'll find every instance of model image and replace it with swivel, followed by 2 zeros. Now there's a couple more edits. There is no swivel 000 file, so I'll delete that line. And on the first 9 digits, I have to add an extra 0 to get it to match that naming convention. Also, if I scroll down, I can see that this ends at 35. I need it to go to 38. And honestly, I don't know why I have 2 35s. That's just how it exported. I'll just make a couple extra lines. Change the names as appropriate, and then save this file. Now if I return to my export folder, open this up in my browser, this is the result. It's close but not quite. Notice that it's still constrained to the 400 by 400 ratio of the original export. That's a CSS change that we'll make in the HTML file. Starting around line 33 and also at line 43, you'll see 2 height and width pairs. Change those to reflect the height and width of your images, which in my case is 800 by 600. Once again, I'll save the file and I'll refresh the browser. So now my size is correct, but the image isn't centered. Once again, I'll go back to the HTML file, and this is a change in the JavaScript. By line 117, you'll see the equation 400 divided by 2. Well, that 400 corresponds to the original export. I'll change that to 800, save, and once again, refresh the browser. Now it's centered and functioning as I'd like it. The final step is to incorporate this into an existing website. Remember that when the plugin finished running, it gave you 2 links, and one of them was information on publishing web animations. I definitely recommend that you check that out to find the best way to integrate this with your website. That's about all I have time for right now. Stay tuned for more tips and tricks on using SketchUp on the Concept3D YouTube channel or on the Concept3D blog. If you have any questions, please visit our website at concept3d.com. You can also send us an email at info@concept3d.com. Thanks.